In the centre of New Zealand's North Island lies Lake Taupo, part of a vast geothermal area. Its waters feed New Zealand's largest river. In March each year, the population of 23,000 swells with the arrival of 1,300 athletes and 4,000 supporters. They come to swim, bike and run in the oldest international Ironman in the world. For some, it's their career.
If you think about the pro field here, you think it will be very difficult to win because there are a lot of very, very strong athletes.
There's definitely, some great girls here, and depending on where they're living and training, it's early in the year, but I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I didn't have the potential to take the win.
For many, it's an annual pilgrimage, a chance to renew friendships.
It's amazing coming down here because the whole Ironman family as a whole, they treat you as just family.
So many people of all sorts of abilities, people you would think that wouldn't have a hope of finishing it, but they're out there and they keep on going and they do it.
For others, this event will change their lives forever.
It's always about ensuring whoever's out there that communicates with you knows that you believe in them. That's the Ironman nature, is they say you become part of the Ironman family, and you do on the day.
What motivates you in training and what can enrich your life is Taupo, coming back here every February, March of every year, the last 5 years. As long as I'm racing and as long as I am participating in Ironman, I will be in Taupo going forward, absolutely.
It's one of those races that oldest behind Hawaii, 32 years young, and a lot of history, a lot of fantastic athletes have won here and competed here, so it's one of the best races in the world, I think.
To be an Ironman, they'll have to swim 3.8 kilometres, cycle 180 kilometres and run a marathon. This is the Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Ironman New Zealand. It's 5:30 on Saturday morning, and competitors are slowly making their way into transition for final checks before the start. For 43-year-old Cameron Brown, this will be his 19th start in this race.
Just try and keep winning as I get older. I think it gets more and more special as the older I get. To win, last year at 42. I'm going to try again, see if I can do it at 43, and if I can do that, it'd be pretty amazing.
I mean, obviously Brownie, he's the #1 pick and the clear favourite, but Torenzo's back and he's probably, I think he's good enough and due, probably an Ironman win, so you can never count him out.
I've always said I'd love to win the Ironman World Championships in Hawaii, Kona, and that's always been my goal. And I guess I've thought for years Ironman New Zealand, I'd be okay with going through my career without winning it. But as the years go on and I keep getting sick, and I'm realizing that this is something that's eluded me, and I would really love to cross that finish line first and add the title here at Nutri-Grain Ironman New Zealand to my resume.
In this day and age in our sport, there's dark horses galore that we just don't even know about. They just spring up and then they're suddenly like winning, and it's great. And then there's your regular wonders that are really, really good every time, the consistent ones, the ones who push the pace from the gun. I really put them all in this big old bundle of amazingness and just try to control what I can out there on my end, and sure, it's going to be a different dynamic this year with all the swimmers.
Yeah, Meredith and I think we've been back and forth a few times, so it'll be great to race with her out there. So I'm really excited to swim, and that always gets you motivated a little extra to get going race morning.
It's a really strong field here, and I guess there's 8 girls, that could win. Anyone's race, really, I think.
6:30 on the beach, and the competitors face a fierce challenge from the warriors of the Ngāti Tūwharetoa Iwi, the Māori tribe who have guardianship of Lake Taupo. pro men start at 6:45, with the pro women starting a minute later. Dylan McNeice holds the swim record and will lead the men away. The women's field has strong swimmers, including 3 Americans, Meredith Kessler, Amanda Stevens and Lauren Brandon. On form, they should catch and pass many of the pro men. Out front, as expected, Dylan McNeice is edging out a lead, with fellow Kiwi Mark Bousted in his slipstream. Back on the beach, the age group competitors are preparing for their mass start with a mixture of nerves and excitement. There are many first-timers among the starters here this morning. They come from all over New Zealand and around the world, following in the footsteps of Ironman.
Morning. So, how are you feeling?
Yeah, the nerves are starting to kick in right now. Yeah.
When you get in the water, you've got a nice
Bed out freeze and ready to go.
Exit the door or out.
Father and daughter Brian and Polly Barrich share a hug. And from Wellington, Nicola Grace enters the lake for what will be the culmination of 7 years' hard work. Nicola was a founder of Taupo and is the 2016 Tony Jackson Scholarship recipient. Taupo is a training group set up in Wellington to provide support for Iron Māori athletes.
So the Tony Jackson Scholarship is a memory of Tony Jackson, celebrating his life and what he did to help others who were kind of like me, I've been told, you know, people who you wouldn't think would be doing these kind of events. And so he supported and mentored a whole lot of people to get them to Ironman. And yeah, and that means that's heaps. It's a huge honour to get that scholarship. And I'll be taking him with me on the day. I'll be asking for his help. I think I did Iron Māori in 2009, was my first year. As a cyclist, got involved with it because my sister rang me up and asked if I'd be keen. And that year I'd only just started losing weight and getting into some exercise. And then 2010 I did the team as well. I was a team cyclist. And then just over the years my goals have just got bigger and bigger. Doing Iron Māori, we realised that there were a whole lot of Wellington whānau down here, so we wanted to get a group together to help each other really, working towards these events. And after a year of just kind of informally doing that, a group of mates decided that we should establish a group, and Taupo was born. And so Taupo we're a whānau who help whānau working towards their endurance events. It started out for Iron Māori and it's still for Iron Māori, but it's also other events as well now and healthy lifestyles. If it wasn't for Iron Māori, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing today. Like, in all honesty, I credit what's kind of happened for me over the last 6 years to Iron Māori and then also to Taupo.
7 a.m. and 1,200 swimmers start their race, one of the few mass starts left in World Ironman. This can be a physical experience as feet, arms and heads brush against each other. But somehow order is found and the field strike out along the lake. They'll round the boys at the halfway mark before heading back to the beach. Dylan McNeice is the first pro to the turning point, and already he has a good lead and an eye on his own swim record.
Yeah, you know, I've got a bit of fire in my belly for this round of Ironman New Zealand, so you never know what's going to happen, but you know, I had a couple guys pushing me last year as well, so I'd be surprised if I break it by much, but wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of gains there, but you know, you just got to take it as it comes on the day, basically.
Cyril Viano, Mark Bousted and Guy Crawford are among the chasing swimmers. And not far from them, the first woman. As expected, it's American Lauren Brandon. She's passed the next group of men, including Cameron Brown, and has extended her lead on Kessler.
There's so many swimmers. I could count, I don't know, 7 just right now. And there's an uber amazing, I mean, I just told her, but Lauren Brandon, who has never done her first full, man, she is just primo swimmer. I mean, she should beat everyone but Dylan out of the water. I mean, she's really good. It's really impressive.
McNeice will not beat his 2015 record of 44.25, but he has a lead of nearly 2 minutes on the chasers, which now include Lauren Brandon. McNeice sets off on the short run to the first transition and the start of the bike leg. Mark Bousted is second, but he's a minute 42 behind, leading a group of 7, including Terenzo Bozzoni and Lauren Brandon. Her race time of 45 minutes 59 is under the exterior wetsuit swim record, but will it be enough to defend against Meredith Kessler? McNeice is first to transition, while Kessler leads the third bunch out of the water alongside Simon Cochran, Cameron Brown, Cyril Viano, Michael Paul and Alex Reithmeyer. It's busy in transition as the chasing male pros grab their gear bags from the Mighty River Power volunteers. Brandon has a 1 minute 48 lead on Kessler. Will that be enough to defend on the bike? As Dylan McNeice leads transition, let's confirm the exterior wetsuit swim results. McNeice with a 1 minute 42 lead, but just 13 seconds separating second to 8th. Cameron Brown, 3 minutes 43 down. The pro women's led by Lauren Brandon, a minute 48 to Kessler, followed by American Amanda Stevens and Gina Crawford as we head out onto the cycle leg, next on the Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Ironman New Zealand. Welcome back to Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Ironman New Zealand. McNeice is still the first rider as he leaves Taupo town and heads out to Reparoa. But Bozzoni has taken the lead of the chasing pack and closed the deficit to a minute.
The thing with the Kellogg Nutri-Grain Ironman here in New Zealand is is the course is tough. It's not a flat and easy course with smooth roads. I mean, you sit here in Taupo and you can see the great roads, and it looks lovely. But as soon as you get out there on the main road, we've got a really thick chip seal, which makes the ride really tough. There's over 1,000 vertical meters of climbing throughout the bike, and it's a tough one. And the headwind, usually a headwind when coming home, which makes it tough on a 2-lap course.
Chasing Bozzone is Paul Matthews, Mark Bousted and Guy Crawford. And making his move further back, defending champion Cameron Brown.
You went out and rode this course and had a look at it. People would say, oh, it's an easy course, but I think the conditions, the road surface, you know, once you get into race mode, then people realise how hard it is. We've had so many, you know, Northern Hemisphere people come down and really suffer on that bike lead because they're just not used to the conditions.
It's not long before Bozzone has reeled in McNeese and takes over the lead. With Australian Paul Matthews still in touch in third as 7 riders form a lead group. Lauren Brandon still holds the women's lead. But Kessler has her head down as she chases her 5th victory here.
There's going to be a carrot that I'm chasing, and it's a different dynamic here in Taupo, and just trying to, I am certainly not confident or cocky in any modality here, but just when I say carrot, I mean just having someone you know is so fast and just like a squirrel trying to get a nut, just keep her in sight best you can.
In third place is 2009 winner Gina Crawford. She's been on the podium here every year since and very much in contention. Chasing her was Australian Kerry Lester, a winner at Ironman Chattanooga in 2015. American doctor Amanda Stevens was holding 4th. She's found herself at the forefront of a sports nutrition education.
Being a doctor combined with my personal experiences, I have celiac, and I also have several food allergies, food intolerances. So through my journey, I've just learned the importance of food and, you know, as a medicine, as a fuel. And a lot of times, you know, a lot of people are very interested in what I eat, and I tell them, you know, my body is a race car and I'm just gonna put premium fuels. And it's been a learning experience, learning what the correct fuels are, but mostly it boils down to just eating real foods. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. I get my proteins with, you know, chickens, porks, ham, but fat is also very crucial. Fat has kind of been downplayed, and there's been a fat scare for several years, and now it's kind of coming to the forefront that fat is really key to not only my performance as a athlete, but also for my patients in their health. And so right now I've got a program that I'm working on to educate and teach people, you know, about the proper nutrition habits so that they can be happy, they can be healthy, and they can be fit.
At the halfway point to Reparoa, Paul Matthews has taken the lead, while Bozzone and McNeese stay outside the mandatory 12-metre distance, which is designed to prevent riders from slipstreaming and bunch riding as you may get in a cycle road race. Frenchman Anthony Costes has ridden up to 4th. Clayton Fettel, Callum Millwood, Mark Bousted and Guy Crawford make up the next 4. But closing on this group, Cameron Brown leads the second chase group a minute back. Brandon still holds the women's lead. But Kessler is looking determined. She knows this course and is pushing hard, just 30 seconds behind. And flying under the radar, but already making up 5 places, UK champ Joe Skipper has lost his transponder, so he's not triggering the timing splits. It's 46 kilometres out to Reparoa, and Bozzoni is back in the lead as they near the small village. McNeice is showing no signs of dropping off and is positioned well to keep pace with the leader. Paul Matthews still in third. Costas is 40 seconds behind. As the leaders head back to Taupo, they see the 5th place group heading into Reparoa. There are 8 riders now led by Frenchman Cyril Vianot, and Cameron Brown tucked into 7th with Callum Millwood in 8th, less than 2 minutes behind the leaders.
Cameron's group caught us. Yeah, it just became one big group, and but the pace was on. Like, they wanted to bring back Dylan McNeice and Paul Matthews and a few of those guys out the front, but psychologically it's a lot easier in a group, and it's I mean, it's a trade-off as well because it gets really surgy. It's really easy at some stages, and then it's really, really difficult.
This group are now 1:50 behind the leaders as they turn at Reparoa. With all his experience, can Cameron Brown launch an attack from this point? Back on the road, Kessler has caught Brandon. A quick word of encouragement before she powers into the lead. Back at Lake Taupo, there's a steady stream of athletes completing their 3.8 kilometre swim. Nicola Grace finishes her swim after 1 hour 29 minutes. Still with a smile for her supporters. Among them, Rawedi Shadlock from Palmerston North. His journey here, inspired by his sister and spurred on by Wellington's Taupo family.
2008, I went to see the doctor and came back that I had type 2 diabetes. My sister tried to get me motivated, tried to get me out of bad habits that I was indulging in, and there was a lot to do with the food, drink, everything, drugs. He invited me to go to Iron Māori. She was doing her first individual. The sound of the pūtātara, or the conch shell, started the events. When that happened, I was just really overwhelmed, and just being inspired with the different shapes and sizes, races, just getting out there and doing it, and what were the excuses for me. So I've been motivated by my sister and the Taupo family, who are, wealth of knowledge, and I support everybody who come through the doors. So that's where it started for me. Yeah, I never thought I'd be doing it in my lifetime.
In 2009, Heather Skipworth started the Iron Māori events along with her husband Wayne.
For us, Iron Māori was created to help with the poor health statistics of our Māori and Pacific Island people. We think we're making a small dent in it, but yeah, that's what it was created for, to give people that sense of achievement, which is what Ironman's about.
The race leaders have reached the town centre and the start of lap 2 of the cycle. Callum Millwood and Mark Bousted are the first to turn. There are 11 riders in this lead group now, and no one has been able to make a break. So Millwood first to reach the Taupo turn. The biggest mover since Repara is Guy Crawford, who's caught this bunch on the ride back into town. There are 2,500 mighty River Power volunteers who keep this event running. Inevitably, some will end up as competitors.
I think being a volunteer for so many years, that whole atmosphere is amazing, and cheering everyone on is so much fun. Now that I've been on the other side of it and having all that support to you, it's just a good feeling. The whole of Taupo comes out for it, and you have people that you don't even know cheering for you, and they'll remember you as you do your 3 laps on the run. They'll be saying the same sort of things. It's an amazing feeling, and it's just an adrenaline rush the whole entire race. So it's a good feeling. It's definitely a special race and such a beautiful place to be in. I'm thinking about doing it professionally, but I think that'll be a bit later down the track. Maybe I'll come back when I'm 27, 28, give Cameron a run for his money or something.
Meredith Kessler has started her second lap. Since Repara, she's pulled out a further 4 minutes on Lauren Brandon. This is Brandon's first full Ironman distance, and she still has a 3-minute buffer over the next group. In third place, Australian Kerry Lester, with Englishwoman Laura Siddle and UK Ironman champ Lucy Gossage right behind.
I was riding through the field and I think I'd ridden up to 6th. I think I was 11th at the start of the bike. And then, yeah, then I got a puncture. So then I was back in 12th. And yeah, really annoyed, really angry, kind of, yeah, just thinking, oh, this is, because you always, in your head, you've lost like 10 minutes, which obviously you haven't. But then I just started riding really hard. And I think I just thought, I've got nothing to lose. I'd hardly run before the race. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to run. So I was just like, I've just got to make the most of this bike leg, and probably the anger and adrenaline, yeah, helped.
Cyril Viennot has made a break on the men's race. The Frenchman, who finished 5th at Kona, had not ridden on the bike course before the race. Bozzoni and Millwood taking turns to lead the chasing group. And right in touch, the 11 times champion, Cameron Brown. Viennot takes a drink and a chance to fill his water tank, now integrated into the frame of these new generation carbon fibre bikes, which are the product of wind tunnel testing. The locals at Repara Village are quick to acknowledge the race leader as he laps the slower age group riders on their first lap. And plenty of support for Cameron Brown, who enters the village 2 minutes and 8 seconds behind Viennot. The riders will take a pink wristband here, a simple way for marshals to recognise the lap 2 riders as the route splits in Taupo. There's just 12 seconds between Brown in 2nd and 8th place Guy Crawford as they turn for the final time. Rawiri Shedlock has overcome heart disease and obesity on his journey to Ironman, but he still has to deal with his diabetes, even on race day.
I know some triggers.
I've experienced when I hit a hypo, and I'll lose, my sight will go blurry, and I'll feel sick in the stomach. So that's a signal for me to get some sugar. And I'm constant, I've got my goo, got jelly beans that I carry through all disciplines. Even in the swim, I've got a stash on my left shoulder, just in case I do start to see blurry, or my eyes do go blurry. So that's how I'm managing it.
At Reparoa, Meredith Kessler is 20 minutes behind the lead male, but behind her, Lauren Boyle has dropped time as the impact of the full distance takes its toll on her. Lucy Gossage is now in second, 5 minutes 42 behind Kessler. It's an amazing effort from this woman who was 8 minutes behind Kessler on the swim and had to repair a puncture earlier in the ride. But Laura Siddle is riding a similar pace. Like the men, the women's race is far from over. The course takes its toll on riders, especially here on the final climb before the road rolls back down to Taupo. They call it Heartbreak Hill, and this is where experience on the course comes to the fore.
Yeah, Heartbreak Hill is probably, it gets to you in the end, you know, it's, I think it's just not the actual hill, but it's the road surface that the athletes have to deal with. You know, it's a big chip, and if you're not used to it, then you know it plays havoc on your back and your legs, and really ties you out. So that final sort of 20 k's coming back into Taupo can be a headwind, and if you've gone too hard early on, then you're going to suffer in that last part and lose a lot of time. So it's very important to save something for that last hour of the ride.
It's a 7-kilometre section that last little bit into town that's all uphill, and then you've got about a 7-kilometre downhill section to the finish. So for me, just being in the back of my mind that it's only 7 kilometres I got to get through up this hill, using my gears really well, and that's a good opportunity also to stand up and stretch out. So use the slower portions where you don't have to remain aerodynamic, where you can actually stand up, stretch out, stretch your back, stretch your hip flexors, and get ready so you can start the run in good form.
It's been perfect weather for the ride. V&O is still out on his own as he enters transition for the run leg. Two minutes and 25 seconds back, Cameron Brown gets an encouraging cheer from the crowd as he leads the chasing bunch. While the gap from second to sixth is only 7 seconds, he knows there's a psychological advantage of leading the group. So now it's Brown, Bozzoni, Millwood, Crawford and Mark Bousted. Joe Skipper is next through the line. He's made a massive gain to be just 40 seconds behind this group. V&O's lead, just under 2 minutes after a slow transition, but the Frenchman is in trouble. He's cramping, the ride has been punishing, and with Cameron Brown in the group chasing him, his time out front can't last long. Millwood, Brown and Bozzoni have the leader in their sights now as they head out along the Taupo lakefront. Viano stops again, and this time he'll be passed. Joe Skipper now up to 7th, but unaware of the drama ahead.
I didn't realise that Cyril had such a lead, because when I came out of transition, he must have already started cramping up, so he wasn't actually in the lead at that point, so I didn't realise that he got off the bike with a 3-minute lead. I just wish that I had done the bike like 30, 40 seconds quicker, so I was actually started the run with them guys, because I had no idea that they were so close.
Confirming the results after the bike leg then, Viano was first in, from Brown, Bozzoni and Millwood. In 8th, Dougal Allen set the new bike leg record of 4 hours 22 minutes 13 seconds. Callum Millwood ups the pace and sets off on the marathon distance with 11-time winner Cameron Brown on his heels. A dramatic return to Taupo for lead female Meredith Kessler, who takes a wrong turn in town.
After 100 or 180 Ks, yeah, I think I start getting in the Ironman fog. And I just was going with the flow, and I went left, and not an ideal time to lose, you know, however long, minute, 2, whatever it was, but I think the key to Ironman is keeping composure and not letting little things stifle you. So I did, you know, I made the turn, I got to transition, I put my run shoes on, and I went. But it's stressful in the moment when you make a silly mistake like that. But you're gonna make a ton of mistakes, not just that one. That was one I could have prevented. But so many other mistakes happened out there. They just, you know, it's how much you can minimize the drama. Watch out, that would be awesome. And my sunglasses. Thank you.
How you going,
awesome, good. Whew, all right, ready to go? Yeah, thank you.
Lucy Gossage has closed the gap to 2 minutes 20. This has been a record-breaking ride.
For me to have the guts to get on the start line was a big thing, and to deal with the puncture, again, psychologically, that can screw with your head, and I've never had to deal with that before, so I'm pleased with that. It didn't lose me loads of time, but it could have messed with my race.
And Gossage's bike race time, indeed a new record, 4 hours 51 minutes 39 seconds, taking her into second after being 12th out of the water. Siddle holding down third, Laura Brandon dropping down to 8th. At the first turn on the marathon course, Callum Millwood has made a small break on Brown.
The first sort of 5K was a bit crazy, you know, we were sort of 3:30s K pace, and at one stage I think the 5th kilometre was just under 3:30, and at that stage I said to myself, look, I'm just going to back it off and let him take the lead, and it was just too quick at that stage, and you know, early on in an Ironman and you know, doing a marathon, you can blow up very, very quickly, so I let him go, and he got sort of 50 metres on me, and later on I was, you know, sort of probably 8-9 Ks I able to peg him back again, but he was running the hills very, very strongly.
It's a minute back to Terenzo Bozzoni and Mark Bousted, still very much in touch with the leaders. Meredith Kessler getting plenty of support on the streets as she stocks up on the fluids. Lucy Gossage admitting to being underprepared for the marathon, but looking strong here early on. And Laura Siddle is just a minute behind and very much in contention. Brown and Millwood continue to pace each other.
I didn't realise how fast we were running because my GPS watch wasn't working. It was taking a little while to acquire its satellites. And it came off the first few kilometres as 4:30s and 4:29s, and I thought we need to pick up the pace here because there'll be the cavalry from behind. And then once it's got its satellites and it was giving me accurate readings, it was more like 3:30s, but I felt comfortable.
Dylan McNeice had punctured late in the race, now outside the top 10 and soon to retire with a strained hamstring. Still nothing separating Bozzoni and Bousted in third, but the gap to the leaders now 1 minute 8 seconds, and it's growing as Millwood and Brown make the turn to start the second of their 3 laps of the course. Running laps means that runners will pass each other as they run in and out of town. The experienced athletes will be able to judge their pace at these crossovers, and Bozzoni has realised that he needs to start pushing to stay with the leaders.
I think knowing the course down here is really important. Just having key marker points that you can use as points as goals to, okay, I got to get here, I got to get here, I got to get here, and understand knowing how many hills there are on the run, and what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be managing your stride length and your stride rate over those hills, and when you should be eating, when you should be drinking. There's going to be tough patches in there, probably somewhere in that lap 2 of the run, and then lap 3 is just going to be survival.
Joe Skipper's pace at this point is close to the leaders, and he's closing in on Bousted in 4th. Meredith Kessler has extended her lead to 4 minutes 40 as Lucy Gossage begins to slow. Soon after the turn, she's caught and passed by Laura Siddle as they head back to town. With Kessler increasing her lead, this is now looking like the battle for the podium spots. Brown and Millwood are still together in the race lead. Polly Barrich, who's again participating with her father Brian, heads out on the run. She has her own very special goal to achieve.
I will manage to beat Dad out of the water and have a good lead on the bike, and then the run, Dad's a good runner, so every single year it's been I will get to, what's it been, about 8k, and then I'll get to 9k. Dad just, how's it going, passes me. So this year I aim to get further and further away from the run, but it's always Dad will catch me on the run.
And the famous crowd support is on hand to lift the spirits of the competitors. Steph Johnson, Nicola Grace and Rawiri Shadlock, all through to the marathon stage of their Ironman. Even the pro athletes benefit from the awesome support of the locals.
You know what, they yelled my favorite word. I had talked this week in interviews and at the schools about my favorite word since I was a little girl, gumption. And just to hear people, like, it makes me teary just saying it. They were like, gumption, you know, or USA or MBK or the adopted Kiwi. And like, it's not just like one little patch that I hear it. It's like the whole course, on the bike and on the run. A little girl, I'll never remember, that probably was at the Taupo intermediate school that I went to, was yelling at every loop, and I looked for her every single loop. So that was pretty enriching.
As they head back to Taupo on lap 2, Joe Skipper has run down Lorenzo Bozzoni and sets off to make up the 3 minutes to the leaders. Lucy Gossage is back in front of Laura Siddle, but is 6 minutes 40 behind Kessler. But Siddle is tiring and under threat from Kerry Lester. There's still no change up front as Millwood and Brown continue to set fastest pace, but Skipper's looking comfortable, and with 14 kilometres left to run, the result is wide open. Meredith Kessler is heading back to town as the leaders run the waterfront for the final time.
The start of the final lap, we're around 30 Ks. It just became a little bit harder, but you know that's going to happen, and it's hard for everyone. It's just if you can minimise your damages. So I was slowing. I don't think Cameron was getting faster. And same with Joe Skipper, who ended up overtaking me at the end. He sort of maintained his rhythm as well. And so yeah, it's experience and it's tough at the same time. I guess that's why they call it Ironman.
15 years ago, at the age of 28, Cameron Brown won his first Ironman New Zealand title. Now in 2016, at the age of 43, he's heading for his 12th win, and his pace looks set to smash the current record.
You try and soak it up, you know, sometimes it could be your last time winning this race, you never know. You know, I've been lucky to win it 12 times now, so pretty awesome. So I tried to soak it up, but you know, you're also in a world of pain and hurting so much that your mind sort of just wants to get to that finish line first, and you know, and then I could go out and thank those supporters, but then you're absolutely cooked at the finish line. You can't even walk, so it's a sorry state.
A new race record, 8 hours, 7 minutes, 57, and the oldest man to win any Ironman.
8:07.58 for the final time. Was very, very happy with that. It's on this course, it's great. And nice to do it at 43 and 44 in a couple of months, so yeah, I think I'll remember this one as my favourite, that's for sure.
A remarkable run through the field for Joe Skipper to claim second, 1 minute 39 behind Brown. Third place, Callum Millwood. All three under the previous record time in what was a remarkable event. And the record breaking wasn't over as Meredith Kessler heads to her 5th consecutive win.
This is the first time that I remember I saw 40K, and I think the last split I got, Lucy was maybe 5 minutes back or not, whatnot, and I was just, enjoy this moment, and just because we're so antsy, understandably, no win is guaranteed until you get to Mike Riley and you get to that tape. But I think the last 2K, I was like, let's just take all the energy from the crowd and all the the good chi and energy this town brings you, and just take it all in. So I, looked people in the eye and tried to flip my sunglasses up in my Ironman haze and give high fives and, keep saying thank you, and then to make the final turn and see the, the TV and Mike, and I literally relished in that last 100 yards.
A new record at 8 hours 56:07. Lucy Gossage fighting back to take second, 9 minutes behind, and Kerry Lester passing Laura Siddell to take the 3rd spot. An overall race record for Kessler, and Lucy Gossage a bike leg record. Confirming results, Cameron Brown taking his 12th victory here, ahead of Skipper and Millwood. Matt Hansen 4th, Cyril Viano finally coming home in 8th place. In the women's race, Meredith Kessler taking her 5th consecutive win, Lucy Gossage 2nd, and Kerry Lester 3rd. Laura Siddell holding on to 4th ahead of Amanda Stevens. 67-year-old Brian Barrich finished his 12th Ironman, and once again he finished ahead of his daughter Polly. A remarkable 94% of starters finished to realise their dream. to be called an Ironman. Steph Johnson is once again the youngest female Ironman, and she's there to support her father Mark in his first finish. "15 hours and 20 minutes after she started, Nicola Grace achieves her remarkable result after a 7-year journey. And after facing demise, Rawiri Shedlock celebrates turning his life around through Ironman.